Welcome to Aussie Tech Roundup, recorded on the 17th of January 2021, just for our loyal Patreons. It'll be about 10 to 15 minutes with a few interesting news stories. I'm your host, Jason Oakley, and this is my co-host, Will Tompkinson. Hey, Will.
Good evening.
We're back again. People wouldn't be expecting this one. We're like the Spanish Inquisition. Nobody expected us.
Yeah, very, very sneaky. Yes, now we decided to mix it up a little bit, and our Patreons are paying for stuff. We figured we should give them something that we said we're going to give them, even though we haven't yet.
Yeah, so after the show, Mr. T will be uploading it to the Patreon website, and if you're one of the tiers up there, it'll be unlocked for you, and you can just watch it there.
But of course, you'd know
also
that because you're
mention
watching
this
it
on
now.
our usual show.
We're probably better off mentioning that part on the normal show.
Yeah,
more so than this one, because you're going to... Yeah. Anyway.
We'll talk about it then too.
Speaking of Patreons, we do need to thank them because they're the ones that make it possible. Of course, I can only thank the publicly ones who wish to be a public. And of course, we have Kate, Bouncing Yellow Skull. We have Daniel and Amanda. We have David Bird, Chris, and Andrew G. So he's a PayPal supporter. So there is several ways to get a hold of us, as you guys know. So thank you very much for your support, and it means a lot to us. And this is one more way we can say thank you.
Sadly for Andrew, you can't watch it on Patreon because he's not on Patreon.
No, but he's still a supporter, so it's worth a mention.
He gets mentioned. Well, we might as well jump into the stories then.
Sounds like a plan.
We have our usual drivel to start off the show.
That's it. We'll be here forever.
The Australian Digital Health Agency, overseer of the My Health record, has expressed concern at the number and type of potential data breaches and it is being forced to disclose. In a submission to the Privacy Act review, the agency, ADHA, asked for changes to the My Health Records Act under which it operates and for harmonisation of data breach rules with those in the Privacy Act. ADHA said the act under which it operates requires both actual and potential breaches to be reported, a first of its kind in national legislation. The My Health Record Data Breach Scheme was intended to provide transparency for consumers and the public about the safety and reliability of the My Health Record system. However, the definition of a breach for the My Health records is very broad and substantially differs from what the community may reasonably consider to be a breach. It also differs substantially from the notifiable data breach system requirements under the Privacy Act. One key difference is the mandatory reporting of data breaches under the My Health Records Act are required even where there may be no adverse impact or likely result in harm to a consumer. This may also require notification to individuals if they're affected by the notifiable breach, even when there is no risk of harm. Under the current law, ADHA and its health partners that interact with My Health Records must disclose even unsuccessful attempts and false positives. That has meant that in years past, ADHA has had to report and declare dozens of breaches. Well, I suppose that if there's stuff that are false positives and attempts at breaching, we don't really need to know because there's going to be thousands of those all day long. You ever watch a web server log and you can see people trying all different things to try and get through whatever version of PHP you've got and other software and automatic scripts that are trying to log in with default usernames and passwords. That's just constantly all day long. So we don't need to know about any of that stuff. But if there is a breach and your data is compromised, I think we should know. But you know, when it came out, you could opt out, and I certainly opted out of my stuff going into My Health Records. How about you, Mr. T?
Well, I can't even log into MyGov 2 days in a row without my account resetting. So, and from there, you're supposed to do your My Health, your ATO, your everything. I literally once a year when I do forcibly have to log in to do my tax, it takes me 3 days because I need to email them 15 times, to get my account reset 12 times, and it eventually works long enough for me to do my tax. But there's no record of anything previous because my account's been reset. So all my previous tax bills and my previous communications are all gone because they're not there because they've had to reset my account again.
I log in, it's like, here, we pre-populated with all your last year's data.
Yeah.
Mr. T's like, you got a blank slate. Off you go, sir.
Every time. So that's fun. But anyway, that's all part of putting your trust in the government, see? Trust us. Trust them. They know what they're doing.
Yep.
Oh, dear. Anyway, so DuckDuckGo, my favourite search engine, surpasses 100 million daily search queries for the first time.
That's pretty good.
It's privacy-focused search engine DuckDuckGo reached a massive milestone in its 12-year-old history on Monday, when it recorded its first ever day with more than 100 million user search queries. The achievement comes after a period of sustained growth that the company has been seeing for the past 2 years, and especially since August 2020, where the search engine began seeing more than 2 billion search queries a month on a regular basis. DuckDuckGo popularity comes after the search engine has expanded beyond its own and now currently offers mobile apps on Android and iOS, but also a dedicated Chrome extension, which is what I use. I also use it on Android. More than 4 million users installed the apps and extensions. The company said it in a tweet in 20 September. Signal is blowing all records, and DuckDuckGo just passed 100 million searches in a day. Privacy is cool. But the search engine's rising popularity is also due to the stated goal of not collecting users' data and providing the same search results as to all users. As highlighted last year, this lack of granular data sometimes makes it hard for the company to even estimate the size of its own user base. But the dedication to privacy has also helped the company gain a following. That's a cross between a following and a fellowship among the privacy-conscious overcrowd. DuckDuckGo has been selected as the default search engine for Tor browsers and is often default for private browsing modes of several other browsers.
Brave.
Yep. DuckDuckGo historical milestone comes a week when both Signal and Telegram, two other privacy-centric apps, also announced major periods of growth. Telegram announced on Monday it reached 500 million registered users, and Signal servers went down on Friday after seeing millions upon millions of new users in a sudden influx. Both spikes in new users for Signal and Telegram are a direct result of major public relations snafu at Facebook after the company announced last week it wouldn't block access. It would be blocking access to WhatsApp accounts unless users agreed to new privacy that granted Facebook full access to their information.
People are also annoyed that any Oculus devices require Facebook login mandatory.
Mm.
And John Carmack said this week, even the new ones that are coming out are going to all require Facebook, and people are like, I just won't buy an Oculus VR headset then, because I don't want Facebook getting my VR, and I need Facebook everywhere, man. I've had enough of it.
That's it. But yeah, so basically you look back, they got a chart here, and you look back, and that goes back to Friday 1st, and you can see it's like 77,000. The next day it's like 80,000, then like 83, then 85, then 87. Like it's literally like 2,000 hits a day, and then they finally hit the 100,000. So
I really think if Google wasn't giving billions to Apple to be the default search engine on all their devices, Apple would select DuckDuckGo as their default, because they're all about privacy and stuff. But getting that little cash injection helps a lot.
Apple's about privacy unless they can exploit the data they gain themselves.
Yeah.
So they're about third-party privacy, but there's no privacy for Apple.
Yeah. So I think they would definitely go with DuckDuckGo, but Google's here, have lots of billions.
I don't think most from a I'll keep this brief, but from a business standpoint, most businesses won't, because it's not ad-based, it's not revenue-driven, therefore it's very hard to place ads, it's very hard to make revenue from it. So if it's a voluntary thing or an independent thing where revenue is not an issue, yes, absolutely. But from a commercial point of view, it'd be very hard to implement as a business model.
Probably confused a lot of iPhone users too. I did a search and the Google wasn't there. It wasn't the Google. It was some duck. And has my phone been hacked? Hello, Apple, what's going on?
Why have I got a duck on my phone?
How do I make the DuckDuckGo go? How do I make it go? I don't want it there. Speaking of search engines, search and advertising giant Google has closed its deal to buy fitness tracking company FitBit. The company said on Thursday, even as the US Justice Department said it was continuing its probe of the $2.1 billion transaction. The Justice Department, which sued Alphabet Inc.'s Google in October for allegedly violating antitrust laws in its search advertising businesses, said it has not reached a final decision about whether to pursue an enforcement action regarding the Fitbit deal. Google said in a statement that it had worked with the department during a 14-month probe. We continue to be in touch with them, and we're committed to answering any additional questions, a Google spokesperson said. It is rare for a big deal to close without antitrust approval. Australia is also yet to approve the transaction, with the country's competition watchdog last month rejecting a long-term behavioural undertaking from Google intended to address concerns. And I just saw another article today that the ACCC is going to look into it, maybe sue them or something over it. Google won EU antitrust approval last month for its FitBit bid after agreeing to restrictions on how it will use customers' health-related data. FitBit makes a watch life device to measure physical activity. Looks like one of these.
Or a Xiaomi. Yeah.
Which that competes
Mi
with
Fit.
the Apple Watch and others. Yep. Google said it was buying the company in order to compete in this market. We worked with global regulators on an approach which safeguards consumers' privacy expectations, Google said in a blog post, which said Fitbit had 29 million active users. That includes a series of binding commitments that confirm Fitbit users' health and wellness data won't be used for Google Ads, and this data will be separated from other Google Ads data.
I have to say one thing I do like about the Mi Fit that I've got. It doesn't. It doesn't interfere with your phone generally, so you don't get ads and stuff like that. They do have an app called the Mi Home or Mi App Home, something like that. And it integrates all the Xiaomi devices. So you've got Scales, you've got a Fitbit, you've got a dash cam, you've got the floor automatic robot thing, all the things that you've got. It integrates all those together. And then if you use that and go into their forums and go into their community and pages and stuff like that, then yes, you do get ads through that side of it, but it doesn't become a thing anywhere else.
And all of their devices and stuff is like a quarter of the price of
and then some
Google and Fitbit and stuff.
Yeah.
This one was like $470 or something, and yours was like
69. Yeah, $69 for something that does exactly the same job.
And your battery lasts longer, doesn't it?
It's been sitting on the counter because I keep forgetting to wear it. It's been on the bench for 2 weeks so far, and every time I walk past it still tells me it's connected. So
yeah, I have to recharge every like 4 or 5 days.
So it's been at least 2 weeks so far, and I looked at it and it's still 35%. So
yeah.
And the scales, and apart from the fact they all work independently, but they all integrate together as well if you want them to. Yep. And so the more you use of their infrastructure, the more it can tell you about what's going on and give you predictions and give you updates, and not just in the health side of it, but all their things that they make. Like the dash cam integrates into that so that it makes a seamless transition. You can download stuff easier off they kind of create their own mesh network, if you will,
ecosystem,
and the mesh network talks to itself. It's really cool. And I'm sure, being a Chinese publicly owned company, there's no way there'd be any privacy breaches involved in any of that.
No.
Lisa's not listening to me and interrupts me halfway through a conversation.
What? I didn't say anything.
Oh dear. Largest battery in Australia to be built at an ageing New South Wales coal-fired power plant. An energy provider plan to build Australia's largest battery in the latest development of a quickly transitioning energy market. Origin Energy has unveiled plans to build a giant 700 megawatt capacity battery at its coal-fired power plant near Earing,
Yep.
E-R-A-R-I-N-G, Earing.
South
of Newcastle, in New South Wales Hunter region. If built, Origin said it would have the capacity to supply that power to the grid for 4 hours. If the plan goes ahead, the battery would be more than 4 times larger than the 150 Tesla at South Australia. Origin's Executive General Manager Greg Jarvis said the battery would support Origin's transition away from coal-fired power generation by 2032. We'll use plant's existing infrastructure. They released an expression of interest to private companies this week to construct and install a battery at its Earing plant, and began talking with network company Transgrid about converting the battery to the national grid via the Earing substation. The plant, which is Australia's largest power station, is Origin's only coal-fired power plant, scheduled to be decommissioned in 2032. Mega battery will allow Origin to use the plant's existing infrastructure and network connections long after the plant has stopped producing energy by burning coal. So it carries on. But basically they're saying that what's funny is they're saying that it's going to be 4 times the size larger than the battery that Tesla put in. But I was reading some of the submission guidelines and some of the things the other day about this, and it's most likely going to be a Tesla battery pack that goes in.
Because they're the ones who do it now.
Well, they do it. They make everything. They're one of the best financially, cheapest option. They've already got a proven infrastructure in place in Australia.
And a gigafactory in the Nevada desert or something, they make the batteries, don't they?
Yeah, but I mean, even in Australia, like they're the only ones who have a proven battery bank in Australia.
Yeah.
You know, the chances of any other company being able to come in and undercut them, and it's pretty slim.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there.
Telstra is the latest large Australian organisation to pilot a neurodiversity recruitment program, opening applications across a range of IT domains last week. The telco is tied up with Specialist in Australia, an organisation whose goal is to assist businesses in recruiting and supporting people on the autism spectrum. Telstra listed most technology domains where it is looking for new hires, including accessibility, UX/CX, network engineering, DevSecOps, cloud financial operations, which is FinOps, and cloud platform engineering. In a brief LinkedIn post, Telstra senior capability specialist Serap Podhocky said the telco was excited to be partnering with the team at Specialist in Australia to launch Australia's neurodiversity recruitment program. Through an unconventional approach, we aim to attract, assess, and hire autistic talent into a number of permanent roles across our business. Applications are open until the start of February. The telco intends to have its first hires onboarded in April, according to a timeline on a joint website.
I mean, that's, yeah. You start looking at people on the spectrum, and they definitely have some amazing talents in certain areas. I mean, most of them would far outperform just about any of currently operations. I mean, it may be a little different with field ops and stuff like that. Getting them into the real world sometimes is a bit of a struggle for them, but putting them in an office environment and getting them to, to show off their talents in that sort of situation is fantastic.
Yeah.
It can be a challenge. Like, you have to completely don't get me wrong. Depending on their level of functionality, often the brighter ones are very sensitive. So you really have to shut a workplace down a lot for these people to be able to perform very well. So it's a great idea. It's going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort, and it's certainly a fantastic thing. But it's a big project. It's certainly a big project. So yeah, no, that'd be good. Be really good. My last story. Joker Stash, the internet's largest carding forum, is shutting down. Joker Stash, the internet's largest marketplace for buying and selling stolen card data, announced today it will be shutting down in a month on February 15th, 2021. The news will be announced early today by the site's administrator via messages posted on various underground cybercrime forums, which the site usually advertised its services. The site had repeated problems in this past fall. Joker Stash fall comes after a very turbulent close to 2020. Threat intelligence firm Intel 471 said in a blog post today. In October, the actor who allegedly runs the site announced he contracted COVID-19, spending a week in hospital. The condition impacted the site's forums and invariably replenishments and other operations, the company said. Intel 471 also observed the site's clients complaining that the shop's payment card data quantity was increasingly poor. So this goes on to say, but basically they don't say it in here, but remember on the last episode of Aussie Tech Heads, we talked about how they'd pinned that Australian guy operating the illegal...
for the dark web thing.
Yeah. They don't come out and say it, but...
Shutting him down effectively is
you go through you go through and read this, and the week that the operator had COVID was the same week that the...
That's true.
The other guy got taken in, so...
What a coincidence!
So it's interesting that that yet another underground forum for stolen card data mysteriously got taken. Well, I don't think it was deliberate. I think it was inadvertent and accidental, but they also took down another card forum at the same time. But it's been going since 2014, so it's had a decent run for an illegal underground card forum that most people who are even remotely tech savvy are aware of.
It's made a lot of money.
Oh yeah, I'm not guaranteeing that they definitely have. So yes.
Thanks for listening to the Aussie Tech Roundup show. We can be found at facebook.com/Aussie Tech Heads, twitter.com/Aussie Tech Heads, and youtube.com/Aussie Tech Heads. Email us Glenn, Will, and Warlock at aussietechheads.com.au, and we'll see you in the next Patreon only special.
Sounds
Bye-bye.
like a plan. See you guys. Now, if I press the right button.
Another visitor. Stay a while. Stay forever.